So we haven't talked about Dying Light 2 in a while, but I've been keeping a close eye to its post-launch developments, and I'm really impressed with the amount of community feedback that's been added to it. Techland just released the Good Night and Good Luck update, which adds a revamped parkour system, more volatile patrols, and a brand new in-game event, among many others. Also, this might be the best time to jump into Dying Light 2 if you haven't already, and you can get the game 50% off using my links down below. Quick disclaimer, this video is sponsored, so huge thanks to Techland for the opportunity. Now, the biggest new feature is the physical parkour system, which you can pick from the game's menu. Going here lets you freely choose between the original assisted mode, which is more beginner friendly, or the new and more realistic physical version. You can always switch between these, so you're not stuck with either, but the physical parkour is the new and more realistic version. This basically makes actions faster by reducing some of the animation times, makes them more responsive, and as a result, makes the whole movement feel a lot more grounded. To illustrate what I mean by that, going over a few scenarios like simply jumping up, you can see how the assisted mode almost makes the character float momentarily before gravity brings you back down to the ground. However, switching to that physical mode, that time is significantly reduced, and as such, it makes jumping feel way less floaty and more in tune with what you'd expect it to be in real life. The same fast responsiveness in action also applies when grabbing onto rails and jumping between obstacles, as Aiden now has a noticeable faster grab and jump animation compared to before. This might mean you'll need slightly faster reactions when pressing the jump button, but will also let you reach the other side quicker. There are plenty more such changes, including to the wall run animation. This now has a shorter startup, but the wall run has also been made smoother. There are lots more adjustments, big and small like these, so I'll just cover them quickly. You can now keep your momentum while performing series of parkour moves. A variety of new vault animations were also added, and you can now also have the ability to accelerate down zip lines and pipe slides. And finally, there's also the adjustment to mid-flight controls, including the ability to use the active landing skill while you paraglide, so this should make landing a lot safer. And speaking of animations, the long-awaited knife slide on billboards from the old E3 trailers is now back, and it's both useful as well as cool. You pull this off by heading into any billboard and then just press C or the crouch button. This lets Aiden pull out his knife, which significantly slows down the fall time, so you can grab onto something else or deploy your glider again. There's also a neat weapon throw mechanic that's just been added, and you can pull this off by holding the attack button and then pressing F on the keyboard. Not sure how you do it on the controller, but that's how you do it on the PC, and it just owns enemies so nicely. Do keep in mind that you can easily lose your weapon if you're not being careful, because oftentimes it can just bounce off surfaces and it might be difficult to see it on the ground from all the other stuff that's happening. And speaking of animations, some of the auto helpers can also be disabled in the new update, such as for example the auto ledge grab, which previously would let Aiden to grab a ledge when jumping from great heights and getting close to one. Well, if you disable this, that no longer triggers automatically, you have to press it manually, which can help a bit if you want to navigate the city at your own pace and not have the character grab onto everything that you bump into. However, I really like the color grading changes that they've made to Dying Light 2, and they even added a bunch of new color gradings that make it look a lot more closer to the first game. So besides the changes to the nighttime that we'll cover in just a bit, you can now pick between different color gradings and go for a completely different vibe than the last one, such as for example picking the newly introduced Haran Sunset. This brings back the old Dying Light 1 aesthetic for those who are nostalgic for the old days and really like that one, but the gritty color grading also had a massive improvement with this new update. So this might just be the best setting in my opinion to play Dying Light 2 into right now, because it keeps the perfect balance so that the colors aren't too washed out but also still contrasty enough and without looking too vibrant or lush like the default look. Of course, it's a matter of preference, and there's plenty more in there, including to make nights a lot darker and as a result a lot more scary. And speaking of the night changes, gameplay-wise, nighttime has seen a significant improvement to make it feel, and I quote, more horror-like. Most important, volatiles now roam the streets as well as the rooftops, so you're never truly safe, which is exactly how the game was supposed to be, pretty much like the first one. It brings back that fear of constantly looking over your shoulders, knowing that something really horrific is there and can hunt you at a moment's notice. It's not just the volatiles that get a nice tweak, but also the zombie population, and I quote, to create more unexpected moments while exploring both streets and building interiors. And they've also made chase sequences less arcadey and a lot more unpredictable as a result. Zombies can now seemingly pop off from anywhere, and if you're not being careful, you can easily get surrounded by them, case in which you do need to either escape or fight for your life. Plus, they will relentlessly chase you even on rooftops, so you're never truly safe anywhere unless you go into a safe spot. But this can actually be a positive thing because there's a new in-game event running right now called Bloody Night. This will run up until July 13th, and it gives you some new in-game rewards by looting valuables during the night time. The top prize here, of course, is going to be this really cool looking crossbow, which you can then immediately pick and use, and it's also really powerful, and it comes with its own unique blueprint to craft more bolts for it. And there's also a new outfit once the community reaches the maximum goal. So as more players come in, this goal is going to be reached and pretty much everybody will get that outfit. So it's going to be worth it to hit the infected spots around the map during nighttime, grab as much loot as you can, hopefully 250 for that requirement, and get out before you're overrun with volatiles. Or stay and fight if you can, but it won't be easy. Now there's one final piece of the update, and Techland brought community maps right inside of the game's menu so you can access them without ever having to leave the game. You can check all of this from the main menu right here with all the fan creations and even download them to access their special challenges. This will require you to log in and subscribe to these maps before you can even download them, but it's totally worth it. Each one of them provides a separate experience from the main campaign and even have their own progression. Plus, Techland is planning to expand upon this feature, so expect even more cool stuff out of it in the future. Anyway, plenty more changes coming with this update. You can of course check the patch notes using the links in the description, and there's plenty more for the gameplay, for the UI, also technical side of things. Have seen some massive and nice bumps over there. Even one-handed weapon attack animations are much faster in the new update, so if you're noticing that, this is the reason why. Furthermore, dismembered body parts will no longer instantly disappear. Renegade zones have their own characteristic sounds of night coming, so you will hear different alarms at night depending if you are in renegade zones or not. Also, weapons that were claimable in the stash are now blueprints available to be crafted at the Craftmaster. You will see the blueprints appear in your stash, grab them, and then you can just craft them at that Craftmaster. In any case, plenty more to do in Dying Light 2. There's a lot of post-endgame progression over there, additional levels to acquire, and even cool new endgame loot to get that will help you a ton in some of these brand new events. So yeah, totally check the game out. Again, the game is 50% off using my links down below, and another huge thanks to Techland for sponsoring this video.